Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending today's online seminar hosted by Invest Hong Kong and the Commerce Bureau of Shenzhen Municipality, titled Hong Kong and Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Development and Opportunities. I am Hashiba of Invest Hong Kong Tokyo office. I will be facilitating this event. Nice to meet you all. First of all, I would like to ask Ms. Winsome Au, the acting principal representative of Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office, for the opening remarks.
Mr. Tan, Mr. Konaka, KK, Michelle, Sunny, Brian, David, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in Japan, I'd like to extend my warmest welcome from Tokyo to all speakers and participants at various locations. Invest Hong Kong and the Commerce Bureau of Shenzhen Municipality had done a great job for organizing this event, with staunch support from the Japan External Trade Organization Hong Kong and the Hong Kong Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Today's webinar has attracted enthusiastic response across Japan, demonstrating the keen interest in the latest innovation and technology development in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. In particular, the Shenzhen-Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Cooperation Zone in the Ma Chao Loop, a promising R&T infrastructure offering massive potential for local and overseas businesses. I must thank our strong lineup of speakers today for sharing their profound expertise and insightful knowledge on Hong Kong and Shenzhen, which are the two leading and complementary cities in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area, with comparative advantages in R&T development. With the unwavering support from the central government, Hong Kong will capitalize on our advantages in research and development capabilities, technology infrastructure, legal system, and intellectual property. Undoubtedly, it is our top priority to cultivate the rich soil and create an ecosystem to support the different I&T segments to thrive in the Greater Bay Area. Hong Kong is an unalienable part of the People's Republic of China, with the implementation of one country, two systems, and the freedoms, rights, and special status guaranteed under the Basic Law. Only Hong Kong can offer you with these unique advantages that cannot be found in any other international or mainland cities. These include the protection of private property rights and investment from overseas, no foreign exchange control, free port and zero tariff policies, a simple and low tax regime and a separate customs territory, and free movements of information and capital. We are fully committed to upholding the rule of law and safeguarding the judicial independence, which is the cornerstone of Hong Kong's success and crucial to public and business confidence in our long-term stability and prosperity. Specifically on developing Hong Kong into an international R&T hub, we have the talents, investment, as well as the national policy support for the hub to grow. On talents, there are 4 quality universities in Hong Kong ranked at the top 50s of the QS World University Ranking in 2022. On financial support, the Hong Kong government has been investing heavily on R&T development, amounting to about $20 billion in the last 5 years. Coupled with the strong policy support from the central government for Hong Kong to emerge as an international R&T hub, there are active flows of talents, capital, and innovation within the Greater Bay Area and beyond. Together with our strong partner Shenzhen, there are ample opportunities for local and foreign investors alike, including our Japanese friends, of course, to build together a unique technopole in the Greater Bay Area. Without further ado, I will pass on to the distinguished speakers today and enjoy the presentations covering a wide range of exciting and relevant topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Winsome. Before we begin the presentations by the speakers, we have a housekeeping announcement. We're going to have a time for Q&A at the end of today's program. If you have a question, please use the chat box for Q&A. Questions can be sent even during the presentations. Now, let us introduce the details of the Northern Metropolis Development Plan, which was announced by the Chief Executive of Hong Kong in last November during the policy address. Mr. Kang Ling, who used to be the advisor for the government's Hong Kong-Shenzhen cooperation strategy plan until this February, is going to deliver a presentation titled "The Northern Metropolis Where Business Goes to Grow." Kiki, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me share the screen. Okay. All right. Can you see it? Thank you for inviting me to this forum. I have been working on this Lawton Metropolis development strategy with the Hong Kong government since the 1st of June last year, and I completed my job by the end of February this year. Now I now go back to the Hong Kong Polytechnic University and continue my job here. For the Greater Bay Area, it is a emerging, very important Bay Area in the world, and it has a population and as well as a land size exceed the existing three important Bay Area, which is Tokyo Bay Area, New York Bay Area, and San Francisco Bay Area, and we believe that the development of the Greater Bay Area will continue to grow. Within the Greater Bay Area, we cannot ignore the importance of Hong Kong and Shenzhen. Many people when we talk about these two cities, they call them twin cities because these two cities have been growing hand in hand in the past 40 years. Between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, we have 7 land-based boundary control points. So that when Hong Kong enter into the mainland China, almost Shenzhen cannot be avoided. For Hong Kong, I believe many Japanese firms are very familiar with the place, but I believe nowadays when Japanese firms consider locating their companies, locating their establishments in Hong Kong, they will not only look at Hong Kong, but they will also look at Hong Kong's spatial relationship and business relationship with Shenzhen, with Greater Bay Area, and with mainland China at large. After all, Hong Kong is a very important trading partner with Japan, and over the past years, Japan actually have a huge trade surplus in the trading activities with Hong Kong. When we developed the Lawton Metropolis development strategy, we also conceptualized the spatial relationship between between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. We propose a concept of twin cities, 3 circles. Twin cities, of course, means Hong Kong and Shenzhen, and the 3 circles are actually area covering Hong Kong and Shenzhen across our administrative boundary under the one country, 2 systems. From the eastern part, from the western part, it is the Shenzhen Bay Quality Development Circle. This circle includes, in Hong Kong side, 2 existing new towns and a major proposed development, which we call the Hong Shui Kiu New Development Area. And across the Shenzhen Bay, onto Shenzhen side, this circle includes Lamsan, which is a very important technology hub in Shenzhen. And then we also cover Qinghai, which is a focus area for the development of modern service industry. And it extend further north to cover the Shenzhen airport as well. And the circle in the middle is named as the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Close Interaction Circle, because within this circle, we have a very close location of large number of land crossing points, and the cross-boundary traffic, both in terms of goods and people, are most intensive, within this circle. On Hong Kong side, this circle includes our one existing new town in Hong Kong, which we call the Fanling and Shui New Town. But on the other hand, we have a large number of proposed development project in this area. And on Shenzhen side, it covers Lawton and Futan, which are the two most developed districts in Shenzhen. And then in the east, we call them the Mers Bay, Yanzhou Town, Equal Recreation and Tourism Circle. Within this circle, we do not propose any large-scale urbanization, but the major objective is to maintain its very high-quality environment. The importance of this cross-boundary spatial concept, particularly to the Hong Kong public officers, that so any public officer, they are responsible for any project within these circles. They need to consider the opportunities that they can explore on the Shenzhen side in order to develop further collaboration and to maximize, the benefit between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. Many people ask me, when the Lawton Metropolis development will begin. So my answer is that actually construction and development is actively ongoing in the Lawton Metropolis. At the present moment, we have a free existing new town, which is the Tin Shui Wai New Town, Yuen Long New Town, and the Fanling Shui New Town. Apart from that, we have a number of very major development projects already proposed, and some development already already commenced. On the other hand, the government also proposed a number of new development projects. So at the present moment, the existing population in the Lawton Metropolis is really close to 1 million. And with all this already planned project, we will add another 1 million population to the Lawton Metropolis. Nevertheless, under the Lawton Metropolis development strategy, we are going to add more than 500,000 of additional population to this area. So, next 10 years or so, the Lawton Metropolis will become, a very busy area in terms of construction activities. You can imagine huge quantity of construction activities will be triggered in the Lawton Metropolis area in the coming 10 years. For this development strategy, actually that was announced on the same day when the previous chief executive announced his policy address 2021. One of the strategic objectives of this development strategy is to help Hong Kong to create the second economic engine. And this second economic engine is actually will be made by a complete innovation and technology industry ecosystem. So this development strategy is actually a strategic action agenda. So in this strategy, we have 10 key action directions and 45 key action items. For the 10 key action directions, the first 4 action directions are mainly about land development and railway development. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about this first 4 action direction. And then the 5th and the 6th action direction mainly concern about conservation of ecology and environment, and through this we may be able to create a very unique metropolitan landscape for the Lawton Metropolis. And the rest talk about public sector reform, as well as how Hong Kong can further collaborate and expand our influence in the Greater Bay Area. And in terms of time, I may not be able to go through these key action directions with you. To sum up, this Lawton Metropolis development strategy will propose 5 new railway projects. 3 of them are cross-boundary railway projects. We will also propose 4 large-scale additional land development projects, 3 wetland conservation parks, 2 outdoor recreation projects, and 1 Suntin Technopole. So at the end of the day, we expect that the total population of the Lawton Metropolis will increase from the present 1 million to 2.5 million. And the number of jobs will increase from the present 110,000 to the future 650,000. So you can see that the scale of increase in job is much more than the scale of increase of residential population. So through this effort, we also hope that we can rebalance the spatial distribution of homes and jobs in Hong Kong. We expect that when the Lawton Metropolis development is essentially completed, we may be able to create 5 economic and employment blocks in Lawton Metropolis. The first one is located in the Hong Shui Kiu and Lau Fau Shan area, which will mainly focus on modern services. It means that the application of digital technology, which will include fintech, modern logistics, and modern financial and professional services. And the second economic block will be located in this Suntin Technopole. I would say the economic base of this Suntin Technopole may focus a little bit more on what we call the hard technology as compared with digital technology of this Hong Shui Kiu and Lau Fau Shan area. The third economic block will be on this Lo Wu and Man Kam To area that may focus mainly on personal services, education services, and medical care. And the fourth economic block will be located at this Hengyun Wai area. This is actually the lately built cross-boundary point between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. But very unfortunately, once this cross-boundary point was open, we met with the COVID problem, and then this was closed for passenger traffic. Nevertheless, the area around this new cross-boundary point may have the potential to develop a new economic hub for Hong Kong, focused on biotech and food technology. The fifth economic block will be on this Sha Tau Kok area, and this will mainly focus on eco-tourism. When we talk about the second economic engine for Hong Kong, that will base on a complete innovation and technology industry ecology. To make this ecology happen, some proactive government policy will be required. But in any case, in my opinion, this complete innovation and technology industry will consist of 7 key components. One is basic and applied research. This may mainly be carried out by our universities and university-related laboratories. And then the second component will be the scientific and technological achievement transformation. So we turn our economic, our research result into production. But before we can do it, all right, we still need to carry out sample manufacturing and a lot of testing. And when this prototype development become mature and successful, then these prototypes can be produced in greater quantity through our advanced manufacturing. In order to push forward this innovation and technology industry, we also need a lot of financial support. So the whole ecosystem will also include investment and financing, as well as professional services. At the end of the day, we also need a lot of talent, to push ahead our development. Therefore, education and training will be lifted. So when we talk about a complete innovation and technology industry ecology, these 7 key components would be taken place in the development of Lawton Metropolis. For the I would like to explain a little bit more about the several key action direction. The first one is on the western part of the Lawton Metropolis. Here will consist of 2 key features. One is a newly proposed railway between Hong Shui Kiu and Shenzhen Bay. This will be a new railway link. When it landed Shenzhen Bay, it has the potential to extend further northward to Qinghai and then even to the Shenzhen airport. And when it extends to the south, it may be connected with the Lantau Tomorrow Railway network. Once it is connected to the Lantau Tomorrow project, then that will also connected to the Hong Kong airport as well as the Central District of Hong Kong. Along this, we also propose to have some flagship digital technology development project located here. So that will be very, very close to Shenzhen, only 1 station distance. This will take just about 3 to 4 minutes to cross the bay, and then we can reach the boundary control point at Shenzhen Bay. Here is the artist impression for this future development. The lateral coastline will be preserved, and existing fishermen's market will be revitalized and enhanced. A local railway line will be developed, and then on the landmark side, we will have a high-density residential development as well as digital business development. When we look at this Hong Shui Kiu new development area, a very important feature is this location. This will be the future town center of this new development area. This is a new local station. All right, and then outside this local station, there will be a large town plaza, and the underground space of the town plaza will accommodate the proposed railway line between Hong Shui Kiu and Shenzhen that I just mentioned. So this location will have the advantage of what we call the double station advantage. So the local station will be seamlessly integrated with a cross-boundary station. And on this part of the new development area, that will be mainly for economic development that may be able to accommodate a working population of about 150,000. That may provide the opportunity of our business, modern business development, and even Hong Kong's lab stand. Another proposed location is in the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Close Interaction Circle. Here is the Lok Ma Chau Loop area, and here is Shenzhen, largely under development at the moment. The Hong Kong government and Shenzhen government already signed an agreement. You know, we collaborate with each other to develop this part and this part in Hong Kong. However, this part in Shenzhen is about 300 hectares. Nevertheless, this one in Hong Kong is pretty small, only 87 hectares. So our proposal under the Lawton Metropolis development strategy is to propose a Shenzhen technopole. So this Shenzhen technopole will have a size of 1,100 hectares. In terms of building floor area, that will have a size of 16.5 times of the present Hong Kong Science Park. So altogether, in this part, that will have a economic innovation and technology development land up to a total area of about 550 hectares. So this will definitely become a very important innovation and technology development hub in the Greater Bay area. So here's the artist impression So in the background, here's the high density development of Shenzhen. Here are the wetland and fish ponds in Hong Kong side, and all this will be conserved and turned into a wetland conservation park. Here's a railway station, and then on both sides of the station will be residential development as well as innovation and technology development. So this will create very nice a physical environment for the I&T talents to work in. Another important key direction is on this what I call the key action direction number 3 and number 4. The main feature is that the development of this new railway connecting west and east of the Lawton Metropolis. And along this new railway line, there will be 5 railway stations will provide cross-boundary transport services between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. So at the end of the day, Hong Kong will have 2 metropolises. One is the Harbour Metropolis covering our Victoria Harbour, as well as the Lantau tomorrow, which is a large artificial island to be formed by reclamation. And then here's the Lawton Metropolis. And in between these 2 metropolis, we'll develop 2 north and south development corridors. And along these corridors, there will be further development of transport connection to link up these 2 metropolis in Hong Kong. So we believe that with that spatial framework, Hong Kong's development will be further driven forward. So perhaps I stop here, and I'm happy to receive questions at the end of this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, KK. From now on, we will introduce to you the development plans both in Shenzhen and Hong Kong, support from government and government agencies, and business activities with focus on innovation and technology. First, Mr. Chan Hao-tian, Chief Representative of the Shenzhen Economy and Trade Representative Office in Japan, will give a talk under the title of The Blueprint and Progress of the Hotel Shenzhen Hong Kong Technology and Innovation Corporation Zone Shenzhen Park. Mr. Tian, the floor is yours. And everybody, hello to you all. Taiwan with regards to the collaboration in the Great Bay Area, I'd like to talk about how we are preparing the hub for I&T. We're very much pleased to be able to co-host this online seminar to introduce to you our project. We're very much honored for that. Briefly, I'd like to give the introduction of our Shenzhen Park. Starting from the background of developing the cooperation zone and Shenzhen Park. This is a very important key policy decision by the Central Party. This is a very important national project. This will be the only major platform themed scientific and technological innovation. And this is also the only one river, 2 banks, 1 country, 2 systems, the 1 zone, 2 parks innovation platform. In October 2020, President Xi Jinping emphasized the following. In order to make successful operation of the cooperation zone, he announced that the determination to see the success for the cooperation zone. In regards to Housekeeping Shenzhen Hong Kong Technology and Innovation Corporation Zone, total area is 3.89 square kilometer. And for the Hong Kong area, your area is 0.87 square kilometer. And on the Shenzhen side, the area is 3.02 square kilometer. With regards to Futian Free Bond area and surrounding area are element of the area. I'd like to talk about the INT development plan. So we have set aside a development plan under the guidance of the National Development and Reform Commission. The Shenzhen Municipal Development and Reform Commission led the effort to develop the Corporation Zone Shenzhen Park Development Plan. It has a special plan, science research plan, and transportation plan. Again, there is special area, science research area, and transportation area to support the Hotel Shenzhen Hong Kong Technology and Innovation Corporation Zone, Shenzhen Park, and infrastructure development was promoted. And with regards to the Innovation Corporation Zone, the 1+N system was developed. And the optimization is being done, and the outcome has become clear. What is 1+N? One is a Hotel Shenzhen Hong Kong Technology and Innovation Corporation Zone Development Plan, which was developed by the Development and Reform Commission. And top-level design was based on this plan. N means a related infrastructure. Futian area is to work on the challenging part for the development of innovation. And there are 5 flows and 4 systems to be dealt with by the innovation plan. 5 flows mean the flow of the people, logistic flow, and the funding flow, information flow, and commerce flow. 4 systems is the legal system, tax legal, and the science research, and the park management system. And we have a policy package being implemented for innovative science and research management mechanism. And with the execution of the solicitation of the topic for the science research projects, the 39 applicants have been secured, inclusive of Huawei and Oppo. And there was a explanation session, and the 3 policies were introduced. They are the joint policy package and industrial policy package, and the support plan for the startups by Hong Kong and Macau's youth. And there was much information included, and the support measures were enhanced. With the presentation of the policy, development of policy, that development and linkage between Shenzhen and Hong Kong are being supported. This is to make possible the breakthrough and to create a last 1 mile for the coming up with the outcome from the technological research. And INT science innovation is being promoted. And we're providing a science technology innovation space as a package. And if you go to the area, you can see many of the research institutions. There are Shenzhen International Quantum Research Institute and International Biomedical Industrial Park Phase 1. And also there are the Quantum Research Institute. There are many star projects taking place. And the space for the science research was provided in quick manner. And there have been many of the breakthrough. And the Futian bonding area is also utilized. We utilized a strategy of combining construction, purchase, and refurbishment and lease to secure a 600,000 square meter high quality area. And there also are the areas which are under development with the area of 560,000 square kilometer. And by year 2035, there will be a more than 3 million of the area which will be available for the scientific research. And there have been many research projects which have already been started or agreed upon in the areas of the bioscience and information science and material science and others. There have already been more than 140 projects. For example, there is operation of the State Drug Administration Greater Bay Center and the Futian Institute of the City University of Hong Kong and Greater Bay Institute for Digital Economy and a Deep Road Route. So there have already been many of the operations started. And for the breakthrough and commercialization and the fintech support, they are actually forming a eco chain. And we are to fill the policy gap to develop a high-quality industrial cluster. And in order to execute the development plan for the area, there have been some of the support measures already have been announced, so that this area can become an innovation hub globally. And toward developing a high-quality industrial cluster, there have been a support measures already announced for the Shenzhen Park. I'd like to explain to you some of the focus area. With focus, the science institution. Well, actually, the organization with the cutting-edge core technologies are the subject of the support. And the medical science technology, new material, robotics, microelectronics, fintech, big data, and AI are the major focus area. Mainly, policy are intended to support a core technologies, a breakthrough. There are 8 measures I'd like to introduce to you. With regards to the frontier core technology, there's up to 50 million yuan in aid for the research and development of cutting-edge core technologies and the construction of industrialization projects, and up to 100 million yuan in support grants for the key functional type platforms which are higher than municipal level. And Shenzhen and Hong Kong is to encourage close collaboration to develop science and technology innovation engine for the Bay Area. And we are gathering a support from different sectors within Hong Kong, and many are proactively participating in the effort. And the scientific innovation is getting momentum, and we can now have a high expectation for the future. And the Northern Urban Area Development Strategy has been announced. And also, the Northern Metropolis is being announced. We are now seeing the new era with opportunity. And we are also a part of the collaborative economic zone between Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And this is going to be a very important engine for the Hong Kong to become a future Silicon Valley. Lastly, I'll talk about the 8 measures for science and technology innovation cooperation between Shenzhen and Hong Kong. As I mentioned earlier, our collaboration zone is the only platform which is themed the innovation and technology. It is to serve Hong Kong to support scientific innovation. That is the mission for the collaboration zone. Last July, we announced the 8 measures, which are the following. First, First is to accelerate Hong Kong SDP Shenzhen Park. Specifically, the Shenzhen Park renovation work is to be accelerated. By the end of the year, there will be a work and also for the project review organization. As such, there will be a support for Hong Kong companies. And two, there will be announcement and execution of the Shenzhen-Hong Kong joint policy package. And the rules and regulation between Shenzhen and Hong Kong will be fused from the four aspects. There will be a joint support for science research project. There will be a joint support for the talents. And there will be a joint improvement of the support measures, and there will be the higher liquidity of the innovation elements. And thirdly, we are to support startups of Hong Kong youth. We are to create a company's new valley. We are to support the work and the starting up of the company and life of the youth. And the fourth, we are to promote industrialization of the outcomes of science research. There will be a support, maximum 50 million yuan for the research on the core technology and construction of the industrialization project. And fifth, are to procure new space for science and technology cooperation between Shenzhen and Hong Kong. There will be 9 parks to be developed. And there will be an increase of the industrial area for more than 200,000 square kilometers. And the sixth, we are to gather new science research institutions and companies of Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And we are to invite in a new university and science research institutions, and we are to accelerate the development of the platform for the collaboration. And 7, we are to implement fused regulatory systems between Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And we are to enhance execution of policy package. And we are to promote the execution of the system reform system for the 5 flows and 4 systems. And 8th, we are to improve service level of science research talents in Shenzhen and in Hong Kong. And we are to provide 300 housing for the talents so that we can help improve their quality of life. Lastly, I'd like to ask for your continuous paying of attention to our cooperation zone. Let us work together and win the win future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tian. Next is a presentation titled Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park Unique Positioning, delivered by Ms. Michelle Kam, the Director of Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michelle Kam. So I would like to give you an introduction of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, which is part of the Shenzhen Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Zone, as introduced by Mr. Tian. Okay, so this is the map, and you can see that this part, HSITP, is the location of Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park. And for the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, it is at the southern border of the Shenzhen River. So this is the new Shenzhen River. And we say one of the unique point of Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park is that it has the DNA of Shenzhen. Why do I say that? It's because this piece of land was originally part of Shenzhen. So this part, this part which I'm highlighting is the old Shenzhen River. Is the old Shenzhen River here, and because of the flooding, so this river was straightened 20 or 30 years ago. So this becomes the new river, and so this piece of land originally belonged to Shenzhen, now has become Hong Kong's land. So it is under the Hong Kong jurisdiction, and adopts the Hong Kong system, the Hong Kong law, and everything, Hong Kong system. So it's a very unique positioned park. Since we are part of the Shenzhen Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Zone, but we are in the Hong Kong territory. So this is one of its most unique positioning. It is a new greenfield project to be developed by the Hong Kong SAR government. And so we can try many new technology during the design, building, operation, and maintenance of the park. And so we will also build a living lab in the park. As you can see, this is in very close proximity to Shenzhen, to the Shenzhen Park, and we are connected by a railway. So this is the co-location station where the future cross-boundary, all the immigration and custom check will be taking place here. So when travelers come from Hong Kong, our park, to Shenzhen, all the custom immigration checking will be done here. And in addition, we also have a footbridge that will connect Hong Kong and Shenzhen, the two parks together. So in future, the workers, the R&D workers from Hong Kong and from Shenzhen, they can commute between the two parks very conveniently. So this is another unique features that gives the unique advantage of our park. And as you have heard about the introduction of Professor K.K. Ling about this Shenzhen Technopole. Our park is in fact the first piece of land to be developed within the Shenzhen Technopole. And our park is also called the Hong Kong's Silicon Valley, and it is the core of Shenzhen Technopole. So this part has been introduced by Mr. Tan, and our park is a very important part of the regional and the national development of China. So it's mentioned in the 14th five-year plan that and also the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area Outline Development Plan, that our park will be one of the four major innovation and one of the four innovation platforms within the Greater Bay Area. But our park is unique in terms of that our park is the only platform that is that has the joint effort of both Hong Kong and the Shenzhen government in setting the long-term direction of our park. There is a joint task force chaired by Hong Kong officials, which is the Secretary of Innovation, Technology and Industry Bureau, and also the Vice Mayor of Shenzhen Municipal People's Government. They meet regularly. The last meeting was just two weeks ago to discuss the development of our park. So it draws very high level attention among the four innovation platforms. So our park is unique in this aspect. And here you can see one zone two part, which was also mentioned by Mr. Tan. And our park we call it one zone, two parts, which is a mini version of the one country, two system. In fact, it's important that the park will have the mission of implementing the one zone, two part, which allows the collaboration between the two parks, that is the Hong Kong part, our park, and Shenzhen park, so that it operates by two separate companies and also in two separate jurisdictions, but in one cooperation zone. So it's the best demonstration of one country, two system. So in order to implement this one zone, two paths, there will be a number of pilot initiatives to be implemented that will include the free movement of innovation and technology resources, including data, and also some of the biomedical samples, genetic resources, capital, and talent, that is the R&D workers. And there have been intensive discussion between the Hong Kong SAR government and the Shenzhen Municipal People's Government in how to implement this free movement of innovation and technology resources. And so we expect there will be an announcement soon. And right now there has been some pilot trials of this free movement, but that will be on a pilot basis. So when these pilot cases have been successfully implemented, we will expect further realization of this free movement of resources, which is very important for R&D purpose. And this is the vision and mission of our park. I would like to highlight two very important points. One is about our test bed. And this is because our park is in a very unique location. It's a relatively confined zone, expanded by the old Shenzhen River, and the new Shenzhen River. Is just like an isolated zone, but it's very close to Shenzhen. That means that some of the innovative solutions and products can be tried in our park, just like auto self-driving, fintech, or maybe construction technologies. Right now in Hong Kong, there are not many places that can try some of the new technologies because, for example, auto self-driving, because of the traffic safety issue. So it's only tried at a very confined area with a lot of monitoring. But in our park, since it is a confined area, it is very suitable for a trial of such new technology. In addition, for example, for cross-boundary data, such as the data from China, it can be transferred to our park and under a very safe environment that complies with all the data governance requirements and the data regulation requirements, and that can be shared with the R&D community for use. So this is also under discussion between Hong Kong and the central government of China. And this part about the Greater Bay Area market catalyst, this is also a very important feature of our park because of our location just next to Shenzhen. So it is a place, according to our stakeholder consultations, many Chinese enterprises, they would like to set up in our park because they can adapt their technology solutions and products for international markets before they export to other countries. And also they can do the initial public offerings in China after, in Hong Kong. They can do the IPO in Hong Kong after establishing in our park. And on the other hand, for Hong Kong companies and also the international companies, after they have set up in our park, they can easily explore the market of China, the Greater Bay Area market, to test the market from our park. So this is also a very important value proposition. And our park have 3 focus areas and 6 technology-focused areas. Our 3 core functions include R&D, higher education, and cultural and creative industries. So we expect, in particular, listed higher education as a very important function. Not as a campus for the university, but the higher education institutes, they expect a very keen interest to set up their research institutes in the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, because they have a lot of the centers, research center in Shenzhen. So that means the Hong Kong and the Shenzhen R&D talents can collaborate easily together because of the very proximate distance. And they can also set up interdisciplinary research in our park, collaborating with the other higher education institution and collaborate with the technology companies. And they can also set up incubation in our park. And they can also send their students, research students, and postdoctorates to the technology enterprises in our park. And on the other hand, our park can also leverage the talents from the higher education institutes, because Hong Kong really lead a lot of the R&D workers from the universities for their research purpose. And for the cultural and creative industry, they can help exhibiting their R&D outcomes of the technology companies and also the higher educational institutes. And for the 6 technology focus areas, they are all interrelated, as we understand now. For example, for healthcare technologies, they also utilize a lot of the big data, AI, and robotics, for example, robotic surgery. They also need a lot of the new materials for their medical devices, and also they need the microelectronics for the medical devices. So all these 6 areas, they are interrelated, and we can see they can form a very close ecosystem in our park. And this slide further illustrates our unique value proposition. First of all, as I mentioned before, the R&D workers of Hong Kong and Shenzhen can easily collaborate together. And in future, when the international companies start locating into our park, they can also easily collaborate with the talents, the R&D workers in the Shenzhen park, and do the joint research together. And secondly, the companies in both parks can also leverage the communal facilities and equipment that are provided by either of the parks. Some of the equipments, they may be very costly. And so when some of those equipment is set up in one park, the other parts, the people from other park can easily utilize those facilities. And the third point is that there are a lot of the regulatory bodies to be set up in Shenzhen Park. And I know already the NMPA, that is the Chinese version of the FDA, has already set up in Shenzhen Park. And we expect there will be more regulatory authorities to be set up in Shenzhen Park, or alternatively, some international regulatory bodies may also set up in the Hong Kong Park. So the companies in both parks can access these regulatory bodies and also the certification bodies from either of the parks. And we can also see a lot of the prototyping pilot production and manufacturing activities to be conducted in our park and also Suntin Technopole, and they can also access the manufacturing and the supply chain capabilities of Shenzhen. And there will be innovative policies, just as I mentioned about the free movement of data, capital, talent, and also the biomedical samples across both parks. And last but not the least, the best of Hong Kong and Shenzhen can be present in the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park. And Hong Kong is once again ranked as the world's freest economy by Fraser Institute just a few days ago. And also Hong Kong has a very good basic research in the universities. And Hong Kong has a very good business environment. We have the best telecommunication facilities. We are a major transport hub. We have the very good financial support services. And Shenzhen has many innovative enterprises. Shenzhen has very strong supply chain and manufacturing capabilities. And our park can access all these advantages. And last year, in the policy address of the Chief Executive of Hong Kong, it was announced that there will be an InnoLife Health Tech Hub to be set up in the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park. And the current 16 innovation Inno Center of the Inno Hong Kong, and also the 8 key state labs that are related to life science and healthcare technologies, they will be the basic membership of this InnoLife and Health Tech Hub. And the Hong Kong SAR government has already earmarked 10 billion Hong Kong dollar for setting up this InnoLife and Health Tech Hub. So we can expect the InnoLife Health Tech Hub to play a very important role in diagnosis and therapy, preventive medicine and drug discovery, and also the robotic surgeries, etc. All these kind of technologies related to life science and health tech. And our park will have very good environment for the R&D talents, so they can have much more innovative ideas while working in our park. So I am going to show you the concept plan of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park. So this will be the area of the subway station that's to be connected to Shenzhen. This is the co-location, immigration and custom facilities. And we are going to build the first 8 buildings ourselves. And by the beginning of 2025, there will be 3 buildings ready. This one, and this one. And we have already got the government and capital injection for the first 8 buildings. So these are the 8 buildings. And so all these 8 buildings will be completed by 2027. And for the remaining batches, starting from here to here, actually these remaining batches will be developed in a mix of development approaches, including public-private partnership, long-term land lease, in addition to building by our own park company. So we will also invite tenders for the development under this innovative development model, public-private partnership and long-term lease around the middle of next year. So for those large research institutes and large technology companies, if they want to have their own R&D buildings, they can also consider these development approaches, PPP and long-term leases. So these are the first 8 buildings that will be built under the government funding. And this is the construction site and of the current buildings. And we from the government, the new government of Hong Kong, they have emphasized that our park will be developed at full speed. And also the development intensity will be increased. And there will be industrial land use in our park. So we can see our park can be accelerated and much faster than our original plan. So as this park is one of the largest innovation and technology infrastructure of Hong Kong ever since, so I would like to invite all of you to take part in the development of this park. If you are interested, we really welcome you to come and locate in our park or participate in any approach. So we are very open for discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. We have been showcasing the future of the Shenzhen and Hong Kong, but we will now hear from Mr. Sunny Chow with regards to the Assistant Director of GBA at the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Corporation. His title is the Hong Kong Science Park, your gateway to the Greater Bay Area. The floor is yours.
Brian, David, Hashiba-san, and Professor Ling, Mr. Tian, and Michelle, thank you very much for having me here today. And excuse me in advance if my voice sounds a bit funny. I just got COVID last night. Okay, I think we have a great panel who describe the policies and all the overall direction for the advantages of Shenzhen and Hong Kong partnership. So in my presentation, I will focus more on the actual stuff you can grasp in order to take advantage of the opportunities. So we are the Hong Kong Science Technology Parks. So we are so far the largest tech ecosystem in Hong Kong. We have over 1,100 tech companies from 22 countries and regions in our parks. And we also have about 400,000 square meters of technology space for companies to make use of. And we also help our companies to raise capital. And so far we have raised over the past 4 years, over 80 billion Hong Kong dollars. So our support is comprehensive. So from the ideation stage, that means you have an idea that you would like to test out in the market to see if it works. You have a technology that you would like to commercialize and see if it works. We support you right from that stage to incubation and acceleration, and even elite, meaning that you will be a company that aims to quickly grow and ready for IPO. We have different programs, including partnerships, corporate partnerships. Though that means we work with different corporate partners like HSBC, Jardines, Microsoft, etc., and see if they have any technology needs, and then we match them up together with our tech companies, and we've been quite successful in doing that. We also have our own venture capital fund, which is about 600 million Hong Kong dollars, and on the the Forbes Asia 100 list, we back 9 of the 100 companies. So we are very active in that space, and the companies we pick are quite right. So we understand that for many companies, when they land, they do not want to make a huge capital investment, and Science Park offers the venue for you to lower your capital expenditure. So we have different advanced manufacturing centers, microelectronic center, GMP factories, etc. So we have got the infrastructure ready for you, so you can just simply rent and license space from us. So it saves you the trouble of you getting your own license, etc., which is a considerable administrative burden. We also have InnoCell. It is a building that is for foreign entrepreneurs to stay here, as we know that the rental and the property price in Hong Kong is not exactly very cheap. We usually offer the rent at 60% of the market value to foreign entrepreneurs, so as to help them settle in easily and more cost effectively. Okay, and for the Greater Bay Area development, we have a great complementarity. In the Global Innovation Index, the Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Guangzhou cluster ranks second only to Tokyo and Yokohama. So I think this today is especially meaningful in the sense that GBA is working hand in hand with Japan. And then I'm sure that with our partnership, we can create some wonderful things together. So in order to help, international companies and also Hong Kong companies to tap into mainland GBA cities, we have partnered with the Shenzhen government, as Mr. Tian pointed out, for Science Park to operate 2 buildings in Shenzhen in the Futian area, so as to offer them, the type of service that they would expect in Hong Kong across the border. So in our technology focus, we are pretty similar to what Michelle mentioned, and we have an additional one that is sustainability, as we understand that net zero is very imminent, and this is also an area which Japanese companies are very strong at. Yep. And we work together with different stakeholders, government, universities, R&D institutions, the industries, investors, etc., to make this happen. So how we position ourselves is to draw in and also to expand. So we not only help international companies to scale in GBA, but eventually would like to make use of after their expansion through the GBA market, then we can make use of the Hong Kong professional services to list in Hong Kong and expand to international markets. So we have different programs to make that happen, including GBA Inno Express, which we already line up different areas of professional services like company registration, banking, tax, talent, visa, cloud service, etc., etc. And then we, on behalf of our future users, we bargain for discounts, so that our companies can enter the mainland GBA market relatively cheaper and with the high standard of professional service. We also have GBA Inno Academy, which is talent training, and we have other programs such as GBA IPO Connect, and that is to help companies after they scale and get listed in Hong Kong. So these are the different premises that we operate, and this is the Shenzhen branch that we will have. Hopefully, it will be ready in Q1 2023. So we have different facilities over there, including MICE. We have labs, we have offices, we have F&B, etc., etc. So lastly, I would like to give 2 illustrations of how we help Japanese companies. One of them is from the incubation stage. A Kyoto University professor, has a technology which can produce medicine with low toxicity. That means very less poison. And then an Austrian businessman would like to make use of that technology. And then through our incubation program, they established a company in Hong Kong, and they're now hoping to, through our platform, to scale to GBA, and we will have account managers to help them find business partners, such as pharmaceutical companies, to license their technology. And for bigger ones, we have Lawton. As we all know, Lawton is a very big Japanese pharmaceutical company. They have a research facility in Hong Kong Science Park. And although they rent a space with us, and what the value that they get from the rental far exceeds from the money they pay. Every year, we help them to organize the Lawton Forum to showcase their research excellence and to help them to find potential partners to collaborate. So it's already the second year, and so far they're very happy to be in Science Park. And they told me that at the moment, they are also interested in the mainland GBA market, and they're quite interested to go together with us to see what's on offer in GBA. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope that you will join us in your, and we can help you in your growth journey. Thank you. Going back to you, Hashibasa. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you very much for introducing many examples. Next, let us introduce the initiatives of the Hong Kong government to support innovation and technology-related efforts by the businesses. I would like to hand over to Mr. Brian Pan, the Head of Innovation and Technology, GBA, of Invest Hong Kong, who's going to deliver a presentation titled Government Policy to Develop Hong Kong as International Innovation and Technology Hub. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Pan from Invest Hong Kong. I'm the head of innovation and technology with special focus on Greater Bay Area. So I'm glad to have this opportunity to share with you the government policies to develop Hong Kong as the international I&T hub. So allow me just have a quick introduction of Invest Hong Kong. We are a government department of the Hong Kong SAR. Our main goal is to promote and attract FDI from overseas and from mainland China to set up operation in Hong Kong. And we have 8 different sector teams in Hong Kong, and I'm from the I&T team. So we provide the free service and especially the advice for those companies from overseas to support them to landing their operation in Hong Kong. So in Hong Kong, we are playing the role as a super connector. So as you can see from this slide, this is the ecosystem for the innovation and technology sector in Hong Kong. So we collaborate closely with all these I&T stakeholders, and such as, for example, from the university, from the the incubators, accelerators, of course, the government department, and also the investors and chambers, association, etc. So we try to connect our clients and with our relevant stakeholders on their different stage of development. So for my part, because I only have 7 minutes, so I think there are quite 3 major takeaways, I think, for each of our audience you can remember after my presentation. So first of all, I think the key message is R&D is the key. The reason I said that because, from this slide, as the previous administration of Hong Kong government, the government realized that our R&D development spending in Hong Kong is relatively low. So our R&D spending is taking only 0.73% of our GDP, and which when comparing with our neighbor cities, for example, Shenzhen, its R&D spending is talking about 4 to 5% of the GDP. So the Hong Kong government set a target to increase the R&D spending in Hong Kong, so to catch up with our neighbor cities. So that's, as you can see, that we set a target by 2022. That means this year, we aim to increase our R&D spending from 0.73% to increase to 1.5% this year. And as the new government, the new administration is on board, so we believe that the government will keep increasing our spending in R&D so as to catch up with our neighbor cities. On the top right corner, the government defined 4 key areas of our R&D development, which are including the biomedical sector, AI robotic, smart city, and fintech. These are the sectors that we believe Hong Kong has the strength and unique competitiveness. And as you can see also from the bottom right corner, in terms of the number of startups, it increased by 68% in the last 4 years. And in terms of number of staff, increased more than double. In fact, the government has invested more than 150 billion Hong Kong dollar in the last 5 years. The investment, including for those, I think both Michelle and Sandy mentioned just now about, for example, the facilities. We are in for example, in the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, and some of the new buildings, for example, the Microelectronics Center, the Data Technology Hub, etc. And more of the funding has been spent in those different programs to foster Hong Kong's R&D development. So I think Hong Kong has very strong foundation for its R&D development. For example, our sophisticated and robust ICT infrastructure is one of the top leading area in the world. We are the world-class supply chain in the Greater Bay Area, and it also provides a huge potential market as well. We're talking about 10 times of Hong Kong's population. And that is 86 million wealthy population, which is one of the largest middle class in mainland China. We have the top-notch university in university in Hong Kong. You know, in GBA we have 5 top 100 universities in the world, and all of them are in Hong Kong. They keep supplying young talents to the R&D sectors. Furthermore, we have our flagship incubators and accelerators in Hong Kong, both Science Park and Cyberport. We also have 5 government-backed R&D center in Hong Kong, which is to support the enterprise to do the R&D activities in different sectors. I would like to give you some more example of our policy, especially to foster the R&D development in Hong Kong. As from this slide, from left-hand side to the right-hand side, you can see from the startup to in the middle is the R&D development and also in the adoption. So when we talk about the development of Hong Kong's R&D development, of course, from startup stage, you can write on the startup, you know, different incubation program is organized by, for example, by Science Park or also by Cyberport. As mentioned just now, R&D is the key. The reason I say that, as you can see, that quite a lot of R&D fundings, especially in the middle part, which is facilitate the companies to do the R&D activity in Hong Kong. I would like to take the ESS, the Enterprise Support Scheme, as an example. For enterprise who want to do the R&D in Hong Kong, you can apply for this ESS program. If the project is approved, the government will subsidize up to 10 million Hong Kong dollar on one-to-one matching basis. And that means if the R&D project is at 20 million Hong Kong dollar, the government will subsidize 10 million Hong Kong dollar. And the enterprise will also keep the IP, and it also can be benefit from the the R&D cash rebate scheme. 40% of your R&D spending for the ITF project will receive a cash rebate. So that means the company, if you spend 10 million Hong Kong dollar, and you can receive 4 million Hong Kong dollar as the R&D cash rebate. So on the right-hand side, as you can also see the adoption, that is how to support the new technology to be go to the market. And we have a scheme, it's called the Public Sector Trial Scheme. And that is to encourage those public body to use the new development of the ITF funding to, no matter it's a product or service, they will have a cap of 1 million Hong Kong dollar to use your service. So the message number 2 is the GBA is Asia's powerhouse. When talking about Hong Kong's development, especially for the R&D development, we have to understand the impact and also the huge potential of the GBA policy. Hong Kong, as well as we all know that we are the international financial center, our common law system, simple and no tax, our IP protection, our international connection, etc. All those are Hong Kong's strengths. But on the other hand, our GBA neighbor cities can supplement those that we are not that strong. They have abundant land, and they have world-class supply chain, and also the huge market. For GBA alone, the GDP is 1.6 trillion US dollar, which is 13% of the whole China's GDP, and it's just slightly behind the GDP of South Korea. So mainland GBA city is Hong Kong is not only a place for product manufacturing scale up, but also a perfect marketplace for commercialization. And besides of Hong Kong's government policy, the central government also implement different policies to facilitate closer collaboration. For those highlighted in red are INT related. For example, it has a policy for the use of Hong Kong registered drugs and common medical devices in GBA designated institutions, which are Hong Kong invested or JV healthcare institutions. It has policy to facilitate customer clearance of imported animal-derived biomaterials and relaxing the limitation on exporting mainland human genetic resources to Hong Kong. All those are the pain point for co-development, especially for those innovation projects when doing the cross-border development. The third message I want to deliver is about to develop Hong Kong as the international innovation center. I think innovation, especially the international, is the key. 2 months ago, as you can see from this slide, the left-hand side is President Xi visit Hong Kong, and Hong Kong Science Park is one of the key agenda when he stayed in Hong Kong. He emphasizes that Hong Kong's targets to develop as an international INT center. In fact, this message has been restated in the 14th Five-Year Plan of China, which is an important document in China to set targets and goals. On the right-hand side, I think I don't need to repeat those details because Professor has already mentioned about the Hong Kong's the dual engine development, including the especially the Lawton Metropolis, which is the INT focus area. So I will end my part here, but I think well, we believe there is quite a lot of opportunity for Hong Kong to pave the way to develop as the international INT sector, and especially when we have our GBA, especially our GBA mainland counterparts to work together. I think that is plenty of opportunity. So I think for those companies in Japan, should be a golden opportunity for you to catch up this opportunity. So don't miss the chance to talk to me and also my colleague in Japan and see how we can support you to go further. Thank you.
Last but not least, we are to hear from the company which is actually working on innovation in Hong Kong. Mr. Keiichiro Konaka, Managing Director of Ushio Hong Kong Limited, will give his talk, Ushio's challenge of becoming a light solutions company illuminating the future from Hong Kong. I am Konaka from Ushio Hong Kong. I'd like to talk about our new initiatives in Hong Kong. So, what I cover is as written here. So first, I'd like to talk about give an introduction of Ushio. So we're a company working on lights. When it comes to light, generally, you think about lighting. You often think about visible lights. But there are actually diverse functions that can be played by light. For example, we can use ultraviolet rays to solidify material or to give treatment. Infrared rays can also be used for measurement or heating an object. There are diverse functions that can be enjoyed. We use lights and we are intending to create a new market for the lights. I'd like to now talk about major business domains of Ushio. There are major three domains. One is industrial process, under which semiconductor, flat panel, precision equipment are worked on. The next area is visual imaging. This is a visual light, as the name suggests. It's a projector, lighting, and such are worked on. Third area is life science. The application can be medical or for the sanitization. So life-related applications are covered under life science. Now let me talk about our product solution. There are basically two categories. First is refers to light source. From ultraviolet rays to infrared rays, there are light or LED and module products. And those products are delivered to diverse market. First, with regards to light as light, there are light source for the projectors and light source for testing equipment. And on the right-hand side, there is a light that is used as energy. For example, there are the application for the printers, and also there is a light source to solidify ink. So we're providing light with diverse applications. Next is the product solutions that have such light sources that I also mentioned. Some of them are for the equipment for the production of semiconductor, and there are equipment for life science. For the process application, there are light exposure equipment, and also there are equipment for the panel. And again, life science equipment includes a treatment equipment utilizing ultraviolet rays. So those are the introduction of the products that we're using. Now I'd like to introduce you the Ushio Hong Kong. Ushio Ganzhou, Ushio Shaoguan, and Panyu. The factories in Panyu are in collaboration with Hong Kong, Ushio Hong Kong. And Ushio Hong Kong is mainly functioning as a production and supply base for light sources for office automation equipment and projects for the group. And there also are sales companies in Shanghai and Shenzhen, and a manufacturing company in Suzhou, all of which are 100% subsidiaries of Ushio Hong Kong. There are two bases in Hong Kong. There's a head office. There are 30 employees working at the headquarter office. And also, we have a Yunlong Center, which is for logistics and manufacturing. There are 49 employees working at Yunlong Center. There are 3 seconded employees. And in total, there are 82 of us working. We work on OA equipment and light sources for projectors, and we also work on the light source for the lighting fixture, and also light source for the sanitizing or deodor or the LED. They are handled. And also for the Ushio group, we are providing a function of the development as well. So one of the characteristics of the Ushio Hong Kong is that in addition to sales function, we have other functions like distribution and production. And those functions exist in Yunlong. In 1991, the Yunlong factory started its operation to produce a halogen lamp unit. And after that, there was a transfer of the production to mainland China as our customer moved their production. So the production function was transferred to mainland China. But then the Yunlong Center became a production center and logistics center. So it changed its nature. Total floor site area is 5,531 square meter. Building area is 2,873 square meter, and total floor area is 5,060 square meter. Next, I'd like to talk about the production function of the Yunlong Center, as described here. It works on the specification, confirmation, development, designing, and the actual designing, and it can handle the entire process. And most of the machine parts are made in-house, allowing us to respond quickly and flexibly. And to date, to our the group, we have delivered more than 500 units of production equipment, which we developed. And there are different functions described here. But going forward, we would like to focus on the development for automation, including robotics or programming. And also, we like to focus on technology based on AI. So the history of the Ushio Hong Kong. The function in Hong Kong has changed. We started it as a production base in 1990, and then it also became an intermediate point working with the processing trade in China, and in 2010 it started playing a role to be connected with the Chinese market. And we were also in line with the such general trend. In 1986, again in the Kowloon Bay, we started the production of the halogen lamp. And in 1991, we started the Yunlong factory. And we started using this place as a production base. But as I mentioned earlier, there has been a change in the functions. And now it is working on the management function and the sales function, logistics function, and technology-related function. Now, our future challenge toward future. So we will maintain and enhance the existing function for the Ushio Hong Kong. But we like to re-recognize the role and functions or strength of the Hong Kong base. And we like to maximize the strengths and advantages of ours. And we like to provide the value through light and technology and contribute to regional and social development and resolution of issues through technology originating in Hong Kong. There are 3 specific initiatives. Here in Hong Kong, there are companies who are active, and we like to collaborate with them, and we like to promote open innovation. So with the Hong Kong Science Park or Invest Hong Kong, and we like to strengthen our partnership. And second is that we like to create new value by integrating or refining the technologies of Ushio Hong Kong and Ushio Group, as well as those external companies. And thirdly, we like to further improve the skills of Chinese personnel in Hong Kong and secure high-level human resources. Next, I'd like to talk about the 3 of the examples of our activities. First is the collaboration with the Hong Kong companies. Right-hand side, you can see a picture. This is what is called Care 222. This is to sanitize the virus. So originally, the development was done at the Research Institute at Columbia University in the United States. It uses ultraviolet. Previously, it was used for different purpose, but it has negative impact on human skin or eyes. But with this technology, there's no negative impact as described. And from 2020, under the corona, we started the sales. And we're working with the Hong Kong startup with the employees about 10, who has a simulation technology related to light and space. So we fused our light technology and their technology. And this April, we developed a baggage cart sterilizer equipped with Care 222. It is now used in the airport, Hong Kong International Airport. The system contributes to safety and security at the entrance to the airport where there is a lot of traffic. I think this is very meaningful. I'd like to show you a video. The light source is used. And in addition to those projects, our technology can be applied in the hospital and other public places. And we would like to, we're actually trying to come up with new business models. Next is the strengthening of smart production technology. As I mentioned earlier, our Yunlong Center has production technology capabilities that we've been utilizing for our group. And we have a strong local engineers. And recently, the center has developed automatic assembly machines for small module products using multiple robots and automatic inspection of parts using AI technology. And currently, we have started several projects with Hong Kong and Chinese companies based on automation, AI, and high-precision parts manufacturing, and HKPC. HKTC is working on the improvement of productivity, and I do believe that's really meaningful initiative, and we like to focus in this area going forward. Third, we now have a share office in the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. We have concluded the contract in August, actually, starting this month, 1st of September. We started operation at HKSTP, and we will search for the further partners and create opportunities for collaboration in order to create new businesses. And we have obtained a moving pass for 5 people. There'll be a team of the technical personnel, sales personnel, and management members. In terms of what we'll be doing at the HKSCP, well, there are steps. But the first, we have to gather information through communication with companies in the park. And we are to pursue the opportunity for collaboration. We are to do that extensively. So I just introduced to you our activities. And we show Hong Kong group based in Hong Kong and South China will continue to be a production and supply base for key parts that are indispensable for our customers' equipment. And furthermore, we aim to create new business through collaboration with local companies and contribute to regional and social development and solutions to the issues. So we look forward to your continued guidance and support. That is all from me. Thank you very much.
Mr. Konaka, thank you very much for your interesting story. Now we'd like to move on to the Q&A session. We're behind the schedule, so we were supposed to finish by 5:50 Japan time, but we would like to spend 10 minutes for the Q&A session and finish the program by 6 p.m. Japan time. We apologize for the inconvenience. So using this limited amount of time, we would like to address questions mainly related to how to do business activities in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. First is a question for Mr. Tian. There are 6 key focus areas. And for the Japanese companies to set up a location in this Shenzhen park, which area, the companies of which area would enjoy the most benefits?
I'd like to respond. The other companies and also the companies with the core technology related to INT, we can support them. And they're not only Hong Kong companies, but we will invite the companies from the world, including, of course, Japanese companies. We welcome Japanese companies. In Shenzhen and Fujian, there are many supportive measures, and especially with regards to the project for advanced technology, as I mentioned earlier, there is support for the 5,000 yuan, and also 100 million yuan support can also be provided, and at the Shenzhen Park. The Siemens are already in operation, and the local IT companies from Shenzhen are also in operation. In the 6th focus area, there are many of the Japanese companies with the top level technology, which are relevant to 6 areas, so we welcome you. Please do come to the Shenzhen Park. Thank you very much. Thank you. There will be a question to Mr. Sunny Chao, which is a similar question. So Hong Kong also have a 6 focus areas. Amongst the areas, well, from Hong Kong to Shenzhen, what is your idea about what kind of companies from which area would be able to enjoy the service and be active?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think in the context of Japanese companies, I think there are several areas which Japanese companies have an advantage. Number one is biotech. Actually, Japan has many QS 100 universities with excellent research. So especially in medical sciences, so there would be a lot of opportunities to commercialize relevant technology to tap the Greater Bay Area opportunities. Second is perhaps robotics, because Japanese companies has rich experience in manufacturing and have a high degree of automation. So I think in terms of robotics, Japanese companies would have an advantage, especially I think in the Hong Kong market where we are trying to reindustrialize. As you know, Hong Kong is short of space and we don't have a big population, so automation is important. And also in Shenzhen, there are more and more high-value manufacturing. So robotics is an area which I think is good to explore.
Thank you very much, Sunny. Next, we are to hear from Mr. Konaka, who is actually operating in the area from Shenzhen and Hong Kong. There are the ideas have been mentioned, saying which are the areas the companies can be effective. And Mr. Konaka, you talked about your intention to pursue open innovation. First question to you, sir. What would be the advantage for you to conduct open innovation in Hong Kong, what would be the points that you need to be mindful? And what kind of trouble did you encounter, and how did you overcome them? Thank you. First of all, starting from the advantage. So actually working with the players in Hong Kong allow us to think from different perspective or be shared with a different perspective or different idea. And also another thing is the government or public sectors are promoting the open innovation. So I do believe that those are the two factors which give advantage. And what is the secret for success? So there are things we like to do, and I think that we should try. And it is important to develop a win-win relationship. Another thing is that what often happens with Japanese companies is that Japanese people go out to the market and start giving instruction. But what is important is to have the initiatives initiated by local employees. We're now working on multiple projects. And as I mentioned earlier, we're now at the very early stage. So we don't really have that much of the problems at this moment. We are very early stage. So in future, we would like to make efforts to overcome the challenges that we are to meet.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to add a question for Mr. Konaka as a follow-up. So you have started collaboration with different partners recently, and a partnership for open innovation in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, or in mainland China. How much potential do you feel there are?
Well, earlier, I mentioned that Science Park. It was mentioned that in Science Park there are more than 1,000 companies. As of now, how many potential partners are there? It's really difficult for me to say how many potential partners there are. Like a year ago, we started this initiatives, and already we are working on multiple projects with multiple partners. So it's difficult for me to say how many potential partners are there, but we have high expectation going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to hear that. It's a very positive story, and I hope that many more Japanese companies would follow the traces of Shio Hong Kong. And in the northern metropolis or in the Greater Bay Area, we hope that Japanese companies will be able to expand their business scope. Now, finally, I'd like to ask a question to Mr. Brian. So you are in charge, especially of GBA in your organization. And international companies in Hong Kong and local companies in Hong Kong are being supported by various policies of Hong Kong for the convenience of their business activities. But how much do you think those policies or initiatives are actually applied for those businesses in Hong Kong today?
Well, thank you for the question. I think, for what I present just now about the policy in Hong Kong, I think the government also will be visiting our policy and see whether it's enough and whether we need to implement new policies to further pave the way to develop Hong Kong as the international INT center. On the other hand, as I also mentioned about when we talk about the INT development in Hong Kong, we are talking about the international INT development, right? So no matter, we are not only focused on Hong Kong, but we also need to see what the central government is also implementing, and also how we do kind of, the collaboration with our neighbor cities, for example, Shenzhen. And the GBA policy is also the key. As some of the policies are being relaxed, especially for those we promote the cross-border development, the cross-border innovation collaboration. So more and more policy will be relaxed and see how to really to foster the collaboration between Hong Kong and also with our GBA counterparts. So I think for those companies who want to explore the opportunity in Hong Kong, we of course we welcome to talk up with our people and just keep eyes on those new policies, and also especially for Invest Hong Kong staff, we provide advice for those who want to come to Hong Kong and see how to leverage the policy between Hong Kong and also the mainland China. And also we have a GBA team also work closely with our GBA partners and see how we can leverage the company to make good use of Hong Kong and also make good use of the our neighbor cities policy to make maximize the benefit for the company.
Thank you, Brian. Then, as someone from Invest Hong Kong, I think you're supporting increasing number of companies who wants to go from Hong Kong to Greater Bay Area. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, we support the company who to land in Hong Kong and also expand to the GBA cities. Hong Kong, we have Hong Kong strength, but also Hong Kong we have some limitation. For example, the land we don't have such abundance of land, right? So especially for those companies can make good use of Hong Kong, for example, to do the R&D in Hong Kong. But when they need to do the manufacturing to scale up the production, they can make good use of the supply chain in the Greater Bay Area. For example, could be in Shenzhen, could be in Dongguan, right? And then our team will support those companies to land in Hong Kong and then to expand their operation in the Greater Bay Area.
Thank you very much.
So it is about time, so we'd like to wrap up the Q&A. With regards to the questions that were not covered today, later, Invest Hong Kong will reach you with answers. Now, lastly, David Wong, head of Greater Bay Area Business Development of Investment Hong Kong, will give closing remarks.
Thank you. I hope the audience find the webinar insightful and get some tips on INT and the opportunities of the Greater Bay Area. If you are interested to learn more about the GBA and how to do business in the GBA, we have a dedicated website mentioned on the screen. You can see that shares some case studies related to the GBA and also some updates to the new policy, as well as some market information related to the mainland cities of GBA. We also have a guidebook published recently with PwC. You may download it using the QR code shown on the screen, and you can also find it on the GBA website. I hope the guidebook can answer some of the questions on the GBA. So lastly, thank you again for spending time with us, and we will share the webinar recording and material with you soon. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you, David.
The guidebook David just mentioned is now available in Japanese. We will send the booklet to you via email after this seminar. So please make good use of this. Lastly, please kindly take time to respond to our questionnaire. After the end of the session, you will find a link to a questionnaire form on your screen. Please share your thoughts and opinions about the seminar and additional questions, if any. We appreciate the large audience for taking time out of your busy schedule today, participating for about 2 hours. Please do attend our future online seminars covering various topics. Thank you.